So welcome this morning. We appreciate your coming out on this rainy and kind of gray day. This panel is put together specifically to your benefit if you ask questions. If you don't ask questions, then we're going to have to find something else to do for the next 20 minutes. So this is all about audience participation. No agenda. No agenda. So the title, it refers to flying without a co-pilot. But flying without a co-pilot doesn't mean that you really are necessarily on your own. And so what we've done is ask each of these successful business owners to be prepared to speak to you about things that are important to you as you're trying to build your business. And building your business means a lot of different things, of course, in terms of resources and how you go about getting yourself organized, to get started, to grow, and to thrive. So I'm going to ask each of the panelists to introduce themselves, talk very briefly about what their line of business is, and I'm going to ask that they include how long they've been in business, because part of the value of this panel is that they're in very different businesses and for varying periods of time. And then we're going to turn this all over to you, so you all need to be thinking about your questions. So I'm going to get out of the way. We'll start with Brian.
Thank you. She said successful business owners. That's that's wonderful to be described like that. My name's Brian Rogers. I'm a lawyer, business lawyer. Sorry. But I've been in business full time for almost a year. May 1st was my the day that I had kind of left the safety net, and I kind of feel your pain over there with the new business. But anyway, I'm a business lawyer. My name of my firm is Blue Maven Law, and the bulk of my practice is buying and selling businesses, and I focus on the small business market. So the average purchase price of the deals that I did in 2015 was $750,000. So, you know, not large businesses, but also very much going concerns. So, and does that pretty much cover it?
That's great. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Adam Kreitman, and my business is Words at Click, and we generate high-quality internet leads for local businesses. And this June, we will have been in business for 9 years.
I'm Karen Fox, better known as Karen the Connector, as a social media strategist and coach, helping our clients be seen everywhere on the digital landscape, and I've been in business 7 years.
All right, thank you very much. Glenda has agreed to be our runner. So do we have any brave soul out there who would like to ask the first question of our panelists? Look at all those hands go up. Jim Canada, thank you. Glenda's going to come over with the microphone.
Oh, I need that?
Yes, we have to capture you.
Oh, my God. This question's for Brian. I was having a lunch meeting the other day, and I was explaining Brian and his company to another attorney. And so his question was, how did he come up with Blue Maven for a name?
I love questions that start with, I was talking the other day about Brian.
Well, I didn't mention the lawyer part.
So, yeah, Blue Maven Law, for one thing, I envisioned my firm to be different than a typical corporate law firm. And one of the ways that I wanted to send that message out to the market was by having an atypical name. So, you know, in law firms, a lot of times it's Rogers and Rogers, or, you know, usually for the larger firms, they're all people have passed on quite some time ago, and you don't even know who they are. I'm also bad with names, so it's really been a hindrance in my career advancement, I think, because I can't remember the names of you know, all the other firms. But so anyway, Blue comes from the business strategy book, Blue Ocean Strategy, and it's written by a couple of Harvard business professors. And it influenced my thinking quite a lot when I was thinking about what I wanted my firm to be. And Maven is a synonym for expert. And so I felt like it was important to, you know, people hire a lawyer because of the expertise, and I think law maybe speaks for itself.
I just want to address the panel. How important do you think networking is to build your business?
Anyone? I would say it's important to me. You can see from Jim's question. Definitely who you know is important in building those business referral relationships.
I think the correct networking at the right places is very important. Know your audience, know who you're going to be networking with.
Networking isn't a big part of my business now, but it was a big help when I first got started. I was in another company, and I went to every networking event that I could. And what that did for me is it built up a group of people who knew me, liked me, and trusted me. So when I started Words That Click, I went from being the guy who worked at the drug testing company to being the PPC expert. And it was only because I had built up that relationship with those people that, you know, day one, they're introducing me, oh, well, if you need pay-per-click, this is a guy to go see. So early on in the business, it was very important for me.
I just wanted to ask the panel, as you started, when did you realize that you're going to make it, that this is going to be something that you're going to do for a while? Was there a moment or a feeling?
I'll tell you when I get there.
I'm hoping by 2020 I'll feel that confidence. Of course, I've only been at it for a year, but on the other hand, it was a well thought out move on my part. I kind of backed into it. I was part-time for a while at my law firm, and had done research into, my concept of a law firm that focuses on small business mergers and acquisitions is very unique. I don't know of any other firm in the country that focuses on that. And I know Dale Furtwängler and I had discussions years and years ago about whether it's even a viable market. I mean, are people willing to pay for legal in those small deals? Can I do it profitably? What about marketing? You know, can I bring in enough deals to actually, since the fee for every deal is going to be much smaller than it would be for a larger transaction, you know, am I going to be able to generate that business? So the jury is definitely out on my success, but I'm not, fretting every day either.
I've been instructed I'm supposed to hold the mic.
Okay. I have two things. One, I'd just like to give a plug for James Canada. He has, if networking is part of their business, he put out an article about networking, which is awesome. Thank you very much. My question to the panel is, being a lone entrepreneur, what is your biggest challenge in your business?
Balance. Balancing whether you're wearing the hat of marketing, whether you're wearing the hat of sales, all the different hats that we wear. And that's why I think it's so important to have all the help that we have here at E4E to help us balance that.
I'd say letting go and delegating. When you're on your own, it's very easy to say, oh, I can just do that. Or especially when you're first starting out, well, I don't want to spend the money to have somebody else do this. But one of the things that I did that caused the biggest leap forward in my business was just letting go and delegating.
I have kind of a chicken and egg problem on just that thing. There's revenue, there's expenses, and I have way more to do than I can possibly do, which means I'm not doing enough business development, which is, I'm leaving, revenue on the table, so to speak. But on the other hand, how do you fund getting that help? And so I'm sure you all went through that before. But it's difficult to let go, and it's also difficult to have the faith that, once you bring on these extra expenses, that everything's gonna work out. So,
when you have a problem, or if you've got an idea and you're looking for some feedback, where do you go to get the answers?
I am a part of an amazing mastermind group. And if you're not part of one, I highly suggest that, because that's where, if you have the right group, you can say it in confidence that they're going to give you critiques and feedback that's valuable for your business that you can't get elsewhere unless you have your own board of directors or whatever. So I highly recommend a mastermind.
Yeah, same thing. For the last 4 years, I've been in a mastermind with people who pretty much do what I do. I mean, we're all over the world, actually. And we get on a call every 2 weeks, and that's the highlight of my week when those when that call comes around.
I'm a lawyer. I don't need help with anything.
One of the things that I'm finding as I'm growing is, okay, when do you know, where do you find good help? What's the best place, and what do you let go of first?
So there's actually two questions. As far as what to let go of first, at the risk of turning this into a PG-13 meeting, I literally created a file on my computer called "Shit I Should Not Be Doing." It's just a text file. And every time I found myself doing something that I knew I shouldn't be spending my time on, it went in that file. And that became kind of the job description of the people that I found. As far as finding people, it's come from different places for me. One of the people that started with me in my networking group 4 years ago, we developed a relationship, and it just became a good fit. So he started working for me, doing some work. I have used outsourcing sites like Odesk for easy things like photo editing or even some writing. If it's basic writing, you can find some good help. Programming, web programming, things like that, you could find good people out there.
My question is for the two people who've been in the business longer than 5 years. Do you do annual business planning? And if so, do you include scalability plans for your growth?
I do no planning at all. How about you, Karen?
I do planning, but I'm one that watches things kind of closely, so it's more of a competition with myself with the planning.
So while Glenda's getting across the room, what about systems? Are there systems that you've put into place that are particularly helpful or that you would suggest people consider, especially as they're first starting out?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned before that outsourcing, delegating was one of the things I did that caused one of the biggest leaps forward in my business. Creating systems was the other. So I have implemented this software called Teamwork PM. It's project management software, and I think, Lori, are you using it too? Yeah.
You introduced it to me, and it has been fabulous for my business.
Yeah, it's just a great way to keep track of everything that's going on in the business and make sure the people you delegate to know what they're supposed to be doing and keep track that they are doing it. And then also for the repetitive processes that we have in our business, I've created systems so that I know they get done the way they're supposed to get done every time. And that's helpful because it helps me delegate and feel a little bit better about delegating because I know, okay, this is the way it's supposed to be done, and I can just hand this system over to somebody else. And with a little bit of training, they're able to do it. And it just makes delegating a whole lot easier, and it makes the business more about the systems than it does about any single individual.
I'm more of the big picture person, so the details is not my specialty. So I highly suggest going where I did, and that's to Kathy Sexton, to the productivity expert. There's a lot of things that she can go through and help you systemize and know where you're spending time and things that you shouldn't be.
process and system are very important to my business plan and my vision. And my first employee, part-time administrative assistant, started on April 1st. And we're using Touchstone Business Systems, which I heard about here a few months ago. And it's basically an online operating manual for your business. So, the various aspects of your business, whether it's administrative or operational or marketing or sales, you can kind of have a smart online operating manual for all those various areas. So we've been working on putting that together.
Glenda, do we have a question?
First, just to put a side note on what Adam was talking about with teamwork, one of the things I think is great for businesses that are on their own, owners that are on their own, is that works well if you're outsourcing different pieces of work or if you have employees. It works for both. So that's one of the things that makes it such a great opportunity and system. But my question is, at what point, as you guys were developing your business and starting to grow it, did you realize that I need to reach out to some others that are experts in different areas and get input, like a mastermind or like e4e? At what point did that kind of hit you that, oh my gosh, I don't know all the answers, I'm not sure where to go, I need a group like this?
I've been talking about it since the fall of 2010 when my first, when the idea first crept into my mind that maybe small business M&A is a good market. And I've talked to a lot of people, or several people in this room, but very, very early on, before I launched.
The days you want to quit, the days that you're overwhelmed and you're thinking, why am I doing this? So it can be at different times for different people. But that was when I started to reach out, is when I was overwhelmed and thinking, why am I doing this? And I knew why I was doing it. It's the passion behind it. But when you need help from other areas which aren't your expertise, or they even could be your expertise, but that's not the best place to spend your time and energy.
So I also have another question. So the easy for me to say. Let me try that again. So for each person, if you would talk a little bit about how you manage your calendar, how do you control it? Do you have any tricks that you've found over time that are helpful? It's especially challenging, of course, when you're trying to sell and be all these different people at one time. So just a comment on that.
I go right back to Kathy Sexton with this. One of the greatest things that she shared with me, I was feeling very overwhelmed at the time, thinking, why can I not get everything done? I mean, I should be able to get this all done. And then she had me color code my calendar, and I realized that I was attending too many events and not necessarily the best events for my business and for me personally. So that color coding on the calendar is priceless for me.
Saying no a lot helps. And I also, I use a program as far as scheduling meetings, and most of my clients are out of town, so a lot of my meetings are by phone. So I use a tool called Schedule Once, and it's an online appointment scheduler. And when somebody wants to set an appointment with me, I send them a link, and I have basically the times that I have available on the calendar, and they go there and select a time that works for them. So number one, it helps me control my calendar, and number two, it just saves a lot of back and forth emails like, well, how about next Wednesday at 2? Well, I can't do it at that time, but how about 3? And it just eliminates all that.
Any last questions? All right. Thank you all. I thank you, our panelists, very much. If we could give a round of applause.